want to take a minute here and talk about my MIDI sounds and how I get my MIDI sounds. I got a program called Heavier 7. It doesn't seem to be that I have that plug-in on this computer, so I'm not going to be able to show you that sample database. Basically what Heavier 7 is it's a 7-string sample base for writing guitar stuff. This program here basically represents your sound library of samples of each note on each fret sampled in an acoustic fashion where the guitar is not running through distortion or anything. So the notes from the piano roll are actually going to be playing the strings here, and this program here by Native Instruments called Guitar Rig Pro 5, they haven't done any updating on this damn program in like 10 years or some shit. I don't know, 5 years. It's been a long time. And I'm going to have to send them a complaint letter and tell them they need to fix the screen issue so you can adjust the screens a little better. But even in spite of that, this is still my favorite guitar program for effects. And what I like about this is, number one, it has a rack look to it. I like the rack look. Plus, this has got every effect you can think of. This is pretty simple to use. You can come over here to components, and then you can be like, okay, I can have my favorites over here where you've got pre-made stuff, and you can just grab the item here and you can drag and drop it over. Now in this case, first you maybe want to start with an amplifier. So here's all your different types of amplifiers. And once again, Native Instruments actually got sued for putting the real names of stuff in here. So they had to make some changes to them. So you got to kind of half guess at what you're looking at. You know, you got jump, which that's obviously JCM and stuff like that. Then of course that's your Fender Tweeds. So it's got a pretty good, oh, there's your 5150 Van Halen stuff. So these are your amps, and then you've also got your cabinets now. So you got control room, you got match cabinet. See, and I just put the control room match cabinet app right in there, as you saw that pop up. This is pretty cool. Now what you can do with this is you can click into here and you can select the type of microphone you want. And then over here, this is showing your microphone placement. So this is the typical region where you put the microphone, because if you've ever mic'd an amp before, you'll know that this is the best spot for tuning the microphone to the speakers and getting the amount of treble you want versus the amount of bass you want. You get more treble at the cone, more bass and rag out here at the outside. So this actually lets you adjust these points here with the digital microphone and make those kind of tweaks on the sound. So that's pretty amazing. That's pretty cool stuff. Let's see, I don't want this. I'm just going to get rid of that like that. Go back to where I was. Nope. Now, as well as the control rooms, and you've also got your different delays, and you've got your distortions, and you basically just grab these and drag and drop over here for whatever you want. And so, you know, there's literally every effect you could want for everything. I actually use this as my pre-channel effects on every channel that I have. That's pretty much my effect package right there that I use on everything. I really like it, and I only have to know one software piece to do it all, so I kind of like that one. I use other stuff too. I don't know, I gravitate back to that one for whatever reason. It's good. Hopefully I can get them to update it. Okay, so let's see, let's bring that back up again. Okay, here's another thing I use too. Okay, over here I got this little program called VoxFormer, and this is what I use on the master track. After I've written the part and I've created the settings for the distortion and the delay and whatnot, I then go into here and I use this for adjusting the track to set it within the total bandwidth I have to mix with for hearing, 20 to 20,000. So this allows me to do some custom adjusting on that to bring up certain punch points to make things stand out, whether it's a voice or this one here is the Vox Former program. This one's actually made for voice, but I use it on guitar. As you can see, it's got de-esser presence, it's got saturation, gate, compressor, it's got actually double compressors. Then it's also got adjustment between dry and mix, and this is just a really good little unit for a final cleanup before sending everything to the master bus for the final mixing. So I use this one a lot too. I also use this on the drum tracks. It works good for compressing things down a little bit and adding some low end to the basses and whatnot. So let's see, let's bring this other one back up. Let's bring guitar rig back up here. Okay, now I'm going to turn this off and listen to how dorky. Okay, you're going to hear my guitar part where it's going to sound like this guitar is acoustic and not plugged into the effects. So this is what the raw samples database sounds like when it's not getting distortion put to it and all, and the EQ and everything. So you're going to find this to be an interesting little experiment. This whole thing is MIDI. There's no digital tracks here, just all performance data. So check this out. Now you can see here, this is pretty much what I'm playing on the guitar. It is having there was one little minor interpretation where the chord's actually up here. But other than that, this does a pretty good job of following what your hands would actually be doing. It's not perfect. Now check this out. Sounds pretty ripping for a MIDI guitar. That's a good backup track. I could deal with that in a live show and be comfortable with that sound. That's not a bad sound for stuff I made using computers. I just love that acoustic, twangy, weird sound. Alright, on the next one I'll show you how I program my note strikes and things to get it to sound like metal. There's a little bit of trick to getting it to kind of sound a little better. Right out of the box it's not bad with what it picks up, but there's some little things you can do to tweak it that make it even better than out of the box. And I think they actually made it out of the box that way on purpose. Because they wanted you to do something to make better than what they could do, which I thought was kind of cool. A lot of times they just give you like all of somebody's settings, like Joe Satriani's settings or Steve Vai's settings, and you just click the button and then you get that sound. And that's a cool thing, but sometimes building beyond that is actually even more cool. So I'll go into some more about how to get the palm mute sound. When you're picking these notes from out of the database, there's some little things you can do to make it so that it knows that it's supposed to be a palm mute and not just a complete pick strike. But that's a whole nother thing. I'll show you that on the next video. Hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully you learned something.